I'll be honest, I think he should have killed the guy. Now, hear me out real quick. I understand the whole not wanting to cross the moral line no return, but considering his finishing moves, I wouldn't be too conflicted about Kiryu wasting that dude. Let's take another look. So, he first curb stomps a guy's face in, then he lifts this dude up and throws his head on his knee, so I imagine that dude's neck is completely shattered. Also, I did not notice this on my first playthrough, but the first guy he curb stomped has been underneath this commotion the entire time, so I imagine he's pretty dead as well, and if not, he probably wishes he was dead. Stuff like this makes it really easy to recommend the Yakuza series to any gamer, but the whole Kiryu not killing people is about as consistent as my fat friends telling me I have a drinking problem. The point I'm trying to make is that the main character refusing to kill over some moral dilemma has become a frequent trope in media. A badass with the heart of gold that always does the right thing. Don't get me wrong, that's pretty nifty from time to time, but my trust issues make it hard for me to relate at times. Sometimes, I just want to say screw it, let's pull the trigger and paint this city red. Enter Hei. As you can see, Hei kills people. He keeps it simple without being conflicted about his actions. Other than feelings of contempt, he just kinda does the deed and walks off callously. Naturally, this makes Hei come off as a bit of a prick in the beginning of Darker Than Black, but there's something very relatable when exploring our anti-hero Hei. But before we get into that, let's briefly talk about the premise of Darker Than Black. Roughly 10 years ago, a spatial anomaly known as Heaven's Gate appeared in South America. This was shortly followed by the appearance of a similar anomaly called Hell's Gate, which appeared in Tokyo. The appearance of these gates led to some humans becoming contractors. Now, you're probably wondering, what is a contractor? Contractors are extremely rational and logical beings unaffected by human emotions. Also, they come with unique abilities. However, usage of those abilities comes with a payment. For example, this dude has the ability to alter gravity and fly, but once the joyride is over, he has to make a payment. Now, just like abilities, not all payments are the same. Some are a lot worse than others, while some are actually pretty cool.
That's my payment.
Before we move on, we need to quickly discuss a very important event that occurred 5 years before the events of Darker Than Black. Remember the gate that appeared in South America? Well, the appearance of that gate also led to a war known as Heaven's War. The main takeaway is that Hei and his younger sister Bai were working for an organization called the Syndicate in South America, and some crazy Third Impact shenanigans happened that led to Heaven's Gate and a large surrounding area becoming inaccessible. Also, hundreds of millions of people died, Bai disappeared, and Hei became a contractor. So, 5 years go by and we find ourselves in Tokyo, with our anti-hero Hei and crew working for the Syndicate. Speaking of the crew, first, we have Yin, who's an emotionless teenage doll. In quick summary, her role as a doll involves sending out a specter to spy and scout information for the crew. Overall, she's a pretty good character, since her initial lack of emotion actually leads to quite a lot of character development with her and the other members of the party. Also, she's not annoying like most teenage anime girls, which is a huge plus. Next, we have Huang, who's a grumpy curmudgeon that drinks a lot, which right off the bat makes him quite relatable. Huang being a normal human adds a lot to the party dynamic as he considers contractors and dolls less than human. It's because of this belief that frequently leads him to butting heads with Hei. Overall, I think Huang is a really good character. He comes off as this grumpy prick at the start of the show, but naturally, his relationship with Hei evolves, and this leads him to grow on you as a character.
What the hell, man?
You should quit smoking those things.
Yeah, and you should quit stuffing your face.
The last member of the crew is Mao, who is a contractor in a cat's body. As a contractor, Mao is able to possess the body of any animal within his line of sight. Mao, being the most pragmatic of the group, makes his interactions with Hei really entertaining, since Mao expects a fellow contractor to behave as rationally as he would. However, Hei's behavior leaves Mao baffled many times throughout the show.
Hey, don't you have any friends who might come and rescue you?
A contractor's decisions are based solely on logic. None of us would be stupid enough to come charging in here knowing we'd end up getting killed.
Overall, Mao is a great character. Him being the most rational of the group balances out the party nicely, but also leads to a lot of character development, as he starts behaving less and less rational throughout the show. Quick mention of the side characters. They're really good. In quick summary, these characters experience pretty solid development throughout the show, and never during my multiple viewings did I feel like a character wasn't likable. It's quite impressive to be invested in the lesser side characters, seeing that the majority of them only get like 2 episodes of screen time, but that just shows how well the characters are done. Also, this guy's pretty cool.
I appreciate the compliment, but honestly, I'd really rather have a cigarette.
So, moving forward, we're going to talk about Hei, since he is what makes this show so timeless and relatable. Hei, as stated previously, is a contractor working for the Syndicate. Like most contractors, Hei is extremely calculated and rational when it comes to his work. To blend in, he takes on the alias of a shy but polite Chinese exchange student known as Li Shensheng. It's this aspect that makes Hei an enthralling character because he essentially has a real face and facade on at all times. Also, that facade isn't directly tied to the physical mask he wears during missions. Here are some examples of Hei without his mask.
Unfortunately for you, I'm faster. I guess you should have listened to your buddy.
And here we see Hei with his mask on. However, as the story progresses, we begin to realize that Hei isn't as rational as we initially thought. Time and time again, we see him acting on emotional impulses that other contractors would simply ignore.
You're letting a poor lost sister turn you soft.
Shut up!
Are you really a contractor?
It's these breaks in character that allows the viewer to peel back the layers and help us understand Hei before the events of Darker Than Black. As we get more hints, we start relating to Hei as a human being, instead of seeing him as the consummate professional presented at the start of the show. Overall, Hei is a phenomenal character and I found myself really invested in him throughout the story. At the start of the show, he comes off as this emotionless loner with his aloof demeanor and never lets anyone in. However, we get relatable glimpses into Hei's human side throughout the show. Hei might be trying to convince everyone that he's an asshole, but it becomes apparent that the real facade is his contractor persona, and deep down, the caring Chinese exchange student known as Li Shensheng is the core of his actual persona. I think it's this duality in Hei that really sets his character apart, and is definitely the greatest pillar of the show.
You're wrong. I'm the Black Reaper.
No, you're not. You're just my brother who loves me. It's okay. Stop fighting yourself.
Let's quickly talk about how unqualified I am to comment on the music of this show. My musical tastes are pretty much 90% video game and anime music, 5% rock, and 5% hip-hop. However, I never listen to the radio, so I'm either qualified or I can't afford a car. Anyway, the music is amazing. The show's soundtrack was composed by Yoko Kanno, who's responsible for some serious bangers. Yoko Kanno stated that she wanted to embody the series' cold characters in the music, and I think she does an effective job in giving each of those songs a consistent feel. The slower songs feel sad, but the fast-paced combat music somehow manages to feel sad as well. Also, there's an awesome Kurt Cobain-esque grunge song used in fights. I'll put a sample of it at the end of the video. Honestly, 10 out of 10 soundtrack. I could easily listen to this at the gym or after a night of drinking. Anyway, I'm getting pretty thirsty, so I should probably wrap this up. Darker Than Black is a mature anime that won't give you fan service or needless exposition. It's a show that presents you compelling main and side characters that effectively flesh out its world, and at the center of that world we have Hei, who is arguably one of the most fascinating and relatable anime protagonists ever created. If you're into all that, Darker Than Black is a must watch. Even if you're not, I'd still recommend you to watch a few episodes, and if you don't like Hei by then, it's probably not your box of wine. However, you might still love the soundtrack and the impressive cast of characters. That wraps up my review/recommendation for Darker Than Black. I really wish there was a third season. The dub is great, and here's the sample I promised.